Hello everyone, welcome to our today's Tech Talk session. My name is Satyam Tiwari and I'm Marketing Head of Tech Jobs Fair. Today we are here with Weirong Li. She is an founder and CEO of Raw Culture. She is also an intercultural keynote speaker, trainer, and facilitator. Weirong has was nominated for the Women Tech Global Awards 2021 for her startup Raw Culture, and also she won first place at Tech Stars Startup Weekend Vienna for her startup also Raw Culture. So Virong, great to have you here. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Sargam, for this invitation. And it's so exciting to have this talk. It's truly a passion of mine to discuss what we're discussing. And I'm really happy about where the question will take us. So I'm feeling great. Thank you so much. Let's take it
Yeah,
forward.
yeah, yes, we are pleased to having you today. So, before moving forward to our today's session's topic, so if you can, introduce a little bit yourself to our audience and also tell us about your startup journey. And apart from that, if I say like, what are the responsibilities you are handling as a CEO in Raw Culture?
Sure, that's a lot of questions in one. So I guess to start off
Yes,
with,
now all the stage is yours.
yeah. So yeah, to start off with, as you guys all know, my name is Weirong, and currently I am based in Vienna, Austria. And what I'm currently doing is also, like I'm already mentioned, I work as the intercultural keynote speaker, facilitator, and presenter. So I basically present on the topic of how to communicate with different cultures in a way that communicates the purpose and your meaning. And I do this to universities, to NGOs, to NPOs, as well as to SMEs on how they could do this and facilitate the conversation and interaction better. On the other hand, I also am the founder and CEO of Raw Culture, which is my cultural HR focused startup. And the core idea is to connect multicultural candidates, specifically called third culture kids. Who are third culture kids, by the way? They're people who grew up in a country that's different than their passport country, right? So they have at least two cultures that they are very, very informed of themselves because they were growing up and developed in this culture, right? And I connect them to international organizations and companies who are looking for such global talent. So that's kind of my current focus and my two projects, let's say, that I'm doing. And how has my startup journey been so far? Well, basically, the reason why I created my startup, it kind of rooted from my own personal story and need and challenge. So I grew up quite multicultural. I was born and raised in Hungary. My parents are from mainland China. They immigrated 30 years ago to Hungary. And I attended American International School for, let's say, the majority of the time. So I had this mix of Hungarian culture, American, as well as other cultures because it was international school. And then there was a Chinese culture. So yeah, it was a lot when I was growing up. And I didn't really know
Yeah.
how to answer the question, where are you from? And I had a lot of identity crises, understanding where I positioned myself, what I wanted in life, also getting distracted or having questioning myself of who I am based on other external comments about, you look Asian, you must be 100% Chinese, stuff like that. Anyway, so those kind of stories and that kind of personal experience made me want to empower people like us because we are constantly questioned on who we are, right? On our cultures. And I wanted to build a space where we can focus on the positives, focus on what we have, on the privileges of our experiences, and be able to provide more potential of what we can do in the future for ourselves, but as well as for the organizations and companies that we work for. So essentially, this kind of like my startup journey arose from my personal challenge and my personal story of trying to solve this constant chatter of people in a way questioning who you are. And what I want to do is to really empower and lift people up on their journey, their story, and how they can move forward positively with already what they have. So that's kind of why I started, and it's been great because I'm solving kind of my own problem, and I know that there's a lot of other people who have the similar challenges that they're going through.
Okay. So, if I talk about the raw culture, especially, so how are you, I mean, helping HR for HR community, and so what? I just want to understand what does raw culture do?
Yeah, great question. So I previously mentioned in short what we kind of do in terms of HR, which is connecting multicultural candidates, third culture kids, to international companies. So basically, the problem is that a lot of, let's say, companies internationally, they have, and also small SMEs as well, they have a lot of problems with finding talent. There's always a shortage of talent. That's one
Yes.
problem. The second of all is after they have the shortage of talent, uh, there might be a few people who apply for the position, but they don't suit and align with the skill sets and the job description that they posted. So they're not able to find talent and they are not able to find suitable talent. So what I'm trying to do is to offer a very skilled niche group of people called third culture kids who have the hard skills, but as well as the soft skills to function and succeed in essence in a global startup, I mean, a global company, right? So the idea is to offer like this niche group of candidates who are, let's say, I just call them global citizens and global talent because of their upbringing of knowing at least two and more cultures and connecting them to companies who are really trying to look for people to join their companies and also understand how it is to work in an international environment and organization. So, in short, I offer, an amazing group of people called Third Culture Kids to companies as global talent.
Yes. So yes, so somehow our today's topic is also, based on how to use your cultural background to your job application advantage, right? And you have described like what is the culture background and what. So I just want to understand. Yes, you told me like you told us like what is the meaning of cultural background. So I we just want to understand here what is the advantages of this cultural background.
100%. That's a great question. And there's too much, honestly. And that's one thing is that people generally aren't aware, first of all, the term third culture kids. And that's why now I say global citizens or multicultural background people. But the first thing that is more obvious is that they're highly culturally aware and culturally intelligent. And this is self explanatory to the fact that they grew up amongst cultures, right? So they're able to move back and forth. And this comes to the second point, which is they're highly flexible and adaptable in volatile environments. So they're able to constantly shift, pivot, and mold themselves when the situation gets different, when it gets hard, because that's what we're used to. We're used to having putting ourselves in different cultures, in awkward scenarios and events, which we were, not exposed to before. So flexibility, adaptability, cultural intelligence, as well as coming with that emotional intelligence of understanding how I should interact, present myself in a way that you understand in your culture. So I think that is very important because I honestly believe that most businesses these days they're, let's say, a people's business, right? You have to interact with people, like at least a little bit in whatever function. And so to have that extra characteristic of being very socially aware and intelligent of how to communicate what you want to communicate correctly, I think that's a huge advantage, especially if you're working in a global company where you have people from all over the world, right? So that saves a lot of time
Yes.
and effort if they're able to do it concisely. Another thing
Mhm.
is that they are great problem solvers due to the fact that we run into just, once again, situations that we're unaware of. And we can be very creative on how we want to solve it because we're able to put ourselves constantly in different positions and different shoes. And that adds to our, let's say, empathy to how that other person might feel and how I should come across or how I should solve that problem by putting myself in other person's shoes. And I mean, another one is that we obviously bring a lot of diversity of opinion. And this one, I think, usually if you think about diversity of opinion, I believe that every single person, they bring a new perspective and a new opinion to, what where they are and where they're at. But I think that third culture kids, especially because they had the advantage of growing up in at least two cultures, they're able to bring, let's say, I kind of call them like a two in one, where there's like those products of like two in one, three in one. You get to have that good mix in one person, right? They're
Yes.
able to shift around and be a chameleon. So those are just a few soft skills that I mentioned, but there's so much else that gets on top of that and stacks upon it based on their experience growing up in amongst different environments. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, yes, they are creative because they belongs from different culture, as you said, and also they know different languages as well, right? Because they belongs from different countries as well,
Yes.
right? So, like if I talk about other qualities, or if you would like to mention or skill of multicultural background talent, and why it is essential even more nowadays.
Yeah. Why is it an issue more nowadays? Because, I mean, I think everyone probably recognized there was a shift in probably almost all of the major industries during the pandemic. And due to this shift, there has been a lot of conversion of how we work and the way we work. And this caused the shift of, for example, online and hybrid remote work, etc. Like right now, we're doing a live stream, right? I don't think it was kind of so normal to do, let's say, podcasts, interviews online, or live streams before the pandemic because people just like to be in person. But now, since we kind of have to adapt to this new style of work and new style of environment, we constantly then connect with people who are from across the world, right? So I'm in
Yes,
Vienna now, but I maybe like people who are watching now, they're like in completely different continents. And so because of that, I
definitely.
feel like there is a huge need to understand how can I, as someone in Vienna who has a Chinese background but also grew up in Hungary and went to, in an American environment in school, how can I connect to someone across the screen who has a different experience than me? And how can I work well with them and be able to still be successful and even more successful with the different experiences and combinations that we bring? So I think the pandemic has really shown us the value of global skill and global talent, and just how much you could do if, for example, you bring in someone who's from a different continent or a different location, because they add so much market knowledge, local knowledge that would be so valuable for the company, right? So it's even beyond the hard skills. It's really about having a clear
Yes.
understanding of how to propose my product or your idea or whatever you're working on.
Correct, correct. And if I take an example from my side, also like I'm belong from IT industry, and we saw, yeah, as you said, like very high, huge, and demanding internationally, in the IT industry as well, and it was booming while in the Corona period, so COVID time. So yes, so this is the really this is the importance that you said. It's truly correct. So, if I talk about, how can you tap into your multicultural background skills, and if you have or don't have them yet, so how can, anyone can belongs to those multicultural background, and how they can tap into it?
100%. That's another great question. So I would say the first thing is definitely awareness. I just feel like at this point, there's still not much focus and recognition that this cultural diversity element is truly important and an essential factor for organizations, especially if they're working globally. So I would kind of start from yourself and reflect on what has been your cultural journey so far. Which countries have you traveled? Where have you gone on exchange? Uh, Even, for example, what kind of medias are you exposed to? Are they from the US? Are they from China? Whatever it is, kind of reflect on what kind of experiences you had culturally and see how those can be matched to, for example, the job that you're looking to go into. Or if you're already in the job, like how can you hone those skills more, right? How could you match it with the JD? So I would say
Yes,
reflection is number one, and that comes from awareness of understanding where you're at currently with your cultural knowledge. And second of all, is actually going back to the point of the pandemic and it bringing us connectivity from all over the world, is using the possibility to connect to people online. I think I've talked to way more people that I've ever talked to during this pandemic time than before the pandemic even began. So I have to say that it's such a privilege for me to be able to speak to people from all across the world and have it be normal. And I've learned so much about cultures just through that. And you just need to hop on a 15-minute conversation and you get to really just learn so much from kind of their perspectives, their patterns of thinking, and how you can also sometimes integrate that into your work and how you can apply it to what
Right.
you're doing now. So I think taking advantage of the situation of it being online, reaching out to people, connecting to people from the who's working on the same product or same industry, but they're in a different country, and understanding what are good case practices you can also implement into your work, and having it as an exchange, because there's always something you can learn. And that's why I love multicultural exchange, because you find there's always something where you're like, huh, that's really, and like you just learn so much. And like when you ask them like why and they explain it, that's where like the juiciness comes from, and you can learn so much.
Yes, so yes, definitely. In the pandemic, while the pandemic, we understood the value of internet itself, because before that, it was very tough to connect with people, and nowadays people are pretty much aware about how to connect with, how to interact, how to use social media very well, right? It is not just a part of the scrolling down and for the entertainment or connecting with people. It is now bigger than that nowadays.
Yeah,
So definitely yes. Yeah. So I would just like to add here to the all our viewers side, like if they have any question from their side, they can just drop in the comment box, and Virong would like to answer that also. And
yes,
yes, so let's move forward for our next question. Because here we are talking about jobs and
yeah,
applications and all. So I just, this is the common section where anyone belongs from multicultural background, or only from any particular company or any single cultural background. But the thing is here they have to, the rejection of the job application, they have to face it, right?
yeah.
So from your side, what are the most common reasons for rejecting job applications?
Yeah, it's a great question, and very relevant, obviously, for today's topic and discussion. So I would have to say the first one is not having a clear understanding of the company you're applying to and the job description of what the company is offering. So I think so many times people go into applying for jobs and just coming at it from their perspective of what they want and what they expect out of it, but don't look clearly enough at the job description. And honestly, they tell you everything they need in that list of those bullet points. They actually mention the key words that you should be actually reflecting on and thinking, okay, what experiences or what activities have I done that reflects I have this and that skill, and actually use the keywords in your application, and tie it into by backing it up with experiences, how exactly you did that. So that's number one. Using keywords, going back to the job description, because they're literally telling you what they want. They don't want you to explain too much. Just state how you fulfill that and back it up with like experiences of what exactly you did. Second of all is being very, so that's kind of connected to the first one, which is being very concise as well, in terms of, state your experiences, but also only like not only but highlight the points where you kind of made an impact, right? So don't like state a whole paragraph of what you did in that 1 month or in that 1 year. First of all, recruiters only have limited time, so they won't be able to see all of that. So you have to get to the point very quickly, and highlight the outcomes that you kind of created. What were the successes that you offered for the company, for who you worked with, and then they're able to tie in your work and the value that it brings to the organization that you're going to work for or that you worked for in the past. Number three is that beyond tying in the hard skills that they're trying to look for and tying it in with your current skills, a lot of companies now, or a lot of applicants right now, they potentially already have the hard skills and it's quite competitive. So I would say always going above and beyond of, okay, I have the hard skills, but what other things could you offer? And in this case, I would say cultural experience is really important, especially if it is a global company. And you could, for example, highlight experiences of, perhaps if you were in like if you were in a position where you manage like a team of 3 people or 4 people who are from different countries, that's already like a big plus, because companies also want to see like soft skills like leadership as well as cultural communication, because they want to hire someone who usually or most likely that they can also foster and let them develop in the company, and then also for them to go on the next level, right? So you're there for that position that you apply for, but they also at the end of the day want to convert you in a way that you're able to then go in a higher position and be able to manage and lead teams. So I would say highlighting your soft skills, because that's kind of the extra cherry on top besides the other hard skills that everybody else kind of mentioned in their CVs. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And our quote I also read somewhere like you should hire those people who are smarter than you. So this is the thing also like what companies as a founder we should prefer. Yeah,
I
definitely.
just want to add on that.
So
That's interesting because um, I know what you mean. Because the thing is that as a company, you're always trying to add more value in some sense, and you learning from a potential employee and learning a new perspective, it means that they can add a kind of value, right? They can add a new value
yes,
to the company and build something that wasn't there. If you're coming in with the same opinions, with the same experiences, well, they can also have a choice of not hiring you, right? And that's also the linkage to cultural diversity, because you can bring in that extra spice that people do not have, right? You have that extra development experience of in different countries and cultures that people can't see and they can't build just by traveling for 2 or 3 years, right? You have that
yes.
innate quality. Yes.
Yes, definitely. So, on multicultural candidates, I would also like to ask a question also. Like, how should multicultural candidates highlight their value in their job applications? Yes, for example, I have a multicultural background. I belong from at least two countries. Like, I'm in India and I'm living in Vienna or somewhere else. So what are the value that we should add or I should add if I looking for any job, especially in tech industry, if you can give some highlight. So what how what are the values I should put in our job applications as
So
a
I
job
would,
seeker?
yeah, I would definitely go back to just also what I stated in the beginning, which is that you have to first of all understand your current skills, your current experiences, and also understand fully the company that is offering the job and what exactly they're looking for in these skill sets, and try to let's say align your experiences to what they're looking for in the job description. So once again, kind of highlighting that yes, you have the hard skills, but as well, what other additional cultural experiences and backgrounds can you bring? For example, I mentioned the leadership example of having managing teams. For example, being able to solve a conflict that was in a cross-cultural team issue, stuff like that, which you mentioned that is relevant for the company, but as well as you can tie with your cultural background and experience. I think that is extremely valuable, especially I would say if you're looking into, like, let's say early recruitment, or early, let's say you're like, let's say early 20s and you're looking for a job. Usually people might not have so much experience then. So if you already have a bunch of traveling experience, that you've done exchange programs, that you've once again were able to work with a diverse team, that's already a great asset, because most people probably don't have as much experience as you, especially if they're like, let's say early university students. So I think just
Yes,
highlighting that, not shying away from it, and having it as an asset in this time where multicultural and global talent is such a need. I personally think it would be a pity for you not to mention it, because it is relevant, and not enough such talent are noticed.
yes, yes, definitely. Thank you for all the insights. And now we will move forward with our audience questions. So, like, we can say, like, we have a question from Hannah, right? Okay. So she's asking, I work with a lot of international students and professionals. What would you say to those who first language may not be English and are trying to convey what they offer in writing and their cover letters? Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, please.
That's that's a fantastic question. And I would say that okay, perhaps they don't speak the English language, but they also have other language experience and they have also other cultural background experience that would be valuable. For example, if for example you are in Vienna and you work for a Vienna's company who wants to expand to, for example, China, um, you would need somebody who understands the local environment but also understand the Chinese environment. And if for example you're already honing in your skills for your English language and you may not be perfect, that's fine, but you already kind of understand the environment of it, and you have a deep understanding of how the Chinese market is, then you can start off by, for example, let's say internally consulting your team members of, hey, I know I have firsthand knowledge of the Chinese market, and this is usually how they do business. This is usually how the product. I can make the product look, let's say, presentable in their sense, the Chinese community. And you can start off by doing, let's say, these consultation and market knowledge, because that's something that a lot of companies don't have. They don't have this insider perspective of how it's like working in another country. And it doesn't matter if you don't speak English perfectly. If you're able to convey, the fundamental elements, that's already very valuable. And I feel like there's definitely a shortage there of having talents that understand the local community, local, let's say, culture, but as well as the other countries that they're trying to expand to or that they are working with. So, I would say to that person is, keep on going. Um, you can do it and just improve on your English, but don't be afraid to put yourself out there and already kind of work with what you have, right? Work with the skills and experiences that you have. Hopefully that helped.
Yes, yes, yes. I hope also, like Hannah, you got your answer. So, yes, wrong. So great. So, unfortunately, we are running out of time here, and so we have to end this session here. But thank you so much for joining this session and giving our viewers such a deep insight about the cultural background for the job findings. And I hope this insight will help our job seekers to find their dream job. And yes, so that's all for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and see you all in our next session. Uh, uh, Next, Varun, if you would like to add anything to our viewers.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Sargam. That was a wonderful interview. As always, I feel like it was more of a discussion because I really enjoy it and it's really coming from my personal experiences. I really do hope that people can really tap into what they're good at and already their experiences, because nobody has a substitute of your personal experiences, and you can all provide a value in some way. But also, I want to add, for people who are interested in looking more into this cultural diversity element or who are third culture kids, please take a look at Rock Culture. We're on, let's say, 6 different social media platforms. You can find us mainly on main channels, Rock Culture, join Rock Culture on Instagram, and Rock Culture on LinkedIn. And we also are we're publishing our job platform soon. So sign up for our wait list, which is also available on our social media platforms, and as well as join our community, where we have resources and cool events regarding this topic. Thank you so much once again, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope to talk again about this topic and connect with you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. And I would just like to add one thing here also, like because this session is based on for our job seekers, right? So those job seekers who are especially from Vienna, because Virong also from Vienna. So Tech Jobs Fair is going to conduct a physical Tech Jobs Fair in Vienna, one-to-one, where all the job seekers, especially from the tech community, they can meet directly exhibitors, companies, and the event is on 3rd June 2022, and that is also backed by Vienna Business Agency, Vienna Up 2022. So those who are looking for job, and they can visit techjobsphere.com/Vienna and get your free tickets for the event. So that's all for today, I guess.
Can I
And
also add something?
so
Can I add something? So I want to add
yes,
why you should also attend a physical job fair in person. First of all, you get to meet the employers in person, and that's already a great contact, right? Because it's all about human
Yes.
connection. Second of all, you get to meet fellow people who are looking for jobs, and you can learn from their experiences about what worked, what did in the application, and you can connect on the topics, right? And also, by the way, third one is I'll be hosting a panel on the topic of cultural diversity.
Yes.
So
Great.
somebody like they are interested in this, I think it'll be a great opportunity for networking, for understanding about different companies. So I think it'll be a great event, and we'll all love it if you join on June 3rd for the Tech Jobs Fair in Vienna, Austria.
Yes. Okay, so thank you so much, Verong, again, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And so, yeah, let's meet over the next session. Till then, be happy and keep smiling. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.